hordes of people who, oh, we're live. Right. Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the last Budget Finance Strategy group meeting. So let's get straight on with it. Okay. Apologies for absence.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no apologies received, but quite a few members are absent.
Yeah, I did get an email from Alan Walker saying he didn't have the link. So I've just sent him that. So hopefully he might be joining us shortly. But I think we are quorate anyway. So.
Mr. Chairman, I'm surprised that Councillor Billingham's not on yet.
We've got Councillor Herring and Councillor Walker just joining. And here's Councillor Billingham as well.
Oh, right. Oh, we'll just wait for them to log in and then...
Yep. No formal notification of any apologies though, Mr. Chairman.
Right. Okay. Declarations of interest? No, I can't see any. Minutes of the last meeting have been circulated. Is it your wish at some stage I signed them?
Yes, it is.
Agreed.
Good, thank you. Chairman's announcements, I don't think I have any. Urgent business, none that I've been notified of. So that moves straight on to the finance monitoring report and ask Denise to talk about that.
Thank you, Chair. Just looking at the report item 6 on the agenda, financial monitoring report to January 21. The revenue side at the moment on the monitoring, we're showing a surplus of £292,000. That's mainly made up of the COVID costs that we've experienced during the year of just over £2 million. Reduction in interest, £145,000. Grant funding we've received of £1.8 million. The COVID reserve from the previous year of £530,000. And the non-COVID surplus for business as usual, £148,000 surplus. Moving on to the capital, I'm happy to take questions on any of these. The capital is showing a surplus of £151,000 at the moment. We've then had a capital revised to the programme where we've added some additional projects late in the year. And that's added a further £349,000 to the cost of the capital programme. And we have a reserve schedule as well, where we have reserves of just over £5 million. We have any questions on those at all? And I'm happy to go through those.
So, okay, we're all happy with that. Okay.
Thank you, Chair. With regards to capital reserves, what have we ended up totally with capital reserves that we hand over to the new unitary?
On the bottom of the reserve schedule, there's 3 main reserves. One for the Moat Lane contribution. That's broadly retentions of £180,000, so that should still be spent. Capital financing, we have £312,000 at the moment, and that should be for just capital finance in the capital programme going forwards. And municipal buildings of £5,000.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Right. And anything else before?
I can't get my hand up, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Is there anything else, Denise, that is likely to fall out of the woodworks as we go through the 31st to the 1st on the capital spend? Sorry, on the reserves I meant.
The capital itself, not massively. What should happen is if the monies are already for those programmes, so they're already set for those projects, if they don't happen by the 31st of March and the goods aren't spent by then that money will be carried forward. So at the moment we're saying we've got forecasting to 21-22, just over £1 million. It could be that the 4 million we're projecting to be spent this year by the end of March at the moment may still not reach the 4 million, and in which case more of that, if it still be required, would go forward into the following year instead. But none of that money should fall out of the equation because all those projects are required and that's been confirmed.
Okay. Thank you.
And I think the position of West Northants is that anything that is in the individual councils' capital and revenue budgets will be carried forward into next year, and it's only part of the review of the whole thing during 21-22 when things will be likely to change. But I think we're certainly of the opinion that anything that we're pushing ahead with at the moment should carry on, hopefully seamlessly, to next year.
That's certainly the case, and all we've got to confirm to West is the value of the carry forwards once we actually get past 31st of March and we've got those figures confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was important that we just had a look at this at our last meeting. I know it's not quite the end of the year, but we've got the latest figures, and as Denise says, it's unlikely that it will change drastically over the next 2 months. So I think we go forward with our heads held high and a good position of the outturn. And thank you to all our officers. Alan.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I was just going to say the same myself. I mean, the budget is in a very healthy position, and it has been in South Northants for a number of years anyhow. So all the best equally to the finance team and also the officers that have dealt with this, and equally you as Chairman for the last year for keeping us on the straight and narrow, my dear boy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. Anything else, Denise, you wanted to say?
Not at the moment. All we're going to do from now on really is focus on the end of the year and just bring all these figures to a close with a view to taking those through into West. That's obviously for revenue and capital and the reserves position. And what we will be doing is looking at all those reserves, making sure we've got every single reason they are ready for West to be able to interpret that accurately, and that those reserves are used for the intention that they're with, and just make that as clear as possible for them going forwards.
Yeah, because I mean, we should the sort of final end of year probably won't be done till May, when there will be an entirely new team of councillors in place.
And by that time, Chairman, of course, the reserves will no longer be SNC's reserves, they'll be West Northamptonshire's reserves.
Yes.
I think we need to be careful that we don't turn this into a them and us. We all know that South Northamptonshire has managed its books exceptionally well. Some of us have been to presentations where we've been told what wonderful reserves are coming through from the county council because they've done a volte-face over the last few years. And that there will be monies coming through from all the other contributory authorities. But I think that if they've not already been earmarked for SNC projects, they just become West Northamptonshire reserves, and we can't be too possessive about them, can we?
No, but I think we're doing all we can to make sure that what we have said we were going to do will actually happen.
And rightly so, and importantly so.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
what we are doing is, if there are any underspends in the current year, anything like that, where they are for projects that haven't been able to happen in the current year, if we're feeding those into reserves, we're just making sure it's got a very clear narrative on to say what that money is for, why it's in there, so it can be picked up next year and utilised.
Excellent.
good.
It's Ken Pritchard here. With regards to monies outstanding with our grants, what happens to that?
We say grants, we mean in the business grants.
No, on the grants to community grants.
Those will still be committed and used for that purpose. So the grant money's already been awarded. It may not have actually been spent yet or paid across. So that money is still committed. That will still be held there and then put across. And once it reaches West, should make no difference to them whatsoever.
But if there's any funds outstanding, or should we say still in credit, what happens to those?
I would have thought that's still used for the community funding panel. I've certainly had nothing different received on that yet at all, so it should be still for that same purpose.
Because I gather that Daventry and also the Northampton Town don't have that sort of grants panel.
Okay.
No, sorry, Denise.
No, please carry on.
Right. No. I mean, I think they do give grants, but I think they work on a different basis. But obviously, we've been able to top it up every year from our new homes bonus. That has gone now, as far as it's all incorporated into the base budget of the unitary. But I know we are putting forward a revenue reserve to make sure that people like SNVB and CAP that we've supported a long time will not sort of fall off the edge of the cliff and suddenly not have any source of funds.
Thank you, Chairman.
And then Jane and her team, or probably not Jane, but they will work with voluntary sector to help them gain other funds in the future.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right. So I think all we have to do is note that report. Are we happy to do that? Thank you. And then, finally, a review of the committee work plan. The work plan is blank. That's it. I don't think unless we want to have another meeting between now and the end of March. I don't think Richard would like that. Good. Okay, well, I now close the meeting at 17:13.
Chairman, before we all deconvene, or whatever the opposite is of convening, earlier in the meeting, thanks were expressed to all the finance staff. I think it would be appropriate to thank Richard, to thank Democratic Services for the excellent support we've had over all the years of this council. I've been on it for 31 years, and the support we've had from Democratic Services over the years has been exceptional. I don't think they get the best job in the world, and they don't always get the best press, but they do a wonderful job, and I'm extremely grateful, and I think that we owe them a great debt of gratitude, and I would like that to go on record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, thank you.
Second that.
Richard, and,
Thank you, Carol.
Yeah, good.
Wow.
So,
Bad old day.
yes,
Mm.
Weird.
yes. So, yes, we, obviously, Denise and Belinda and the team will still be working on through to the end, and beyond. We're doing pretty well on our grants, for example, the business grants. I think it's something like well over 4 million has now gone out from the government money that we've got out to the businesses in the district. So, and that will keep on continuing.
And I think, Chairman, also, if I may say that, I can't match Carol's 30 odd years on the grants panel, but I think
Not necessarily a good thing, Sandy.
I think I've been on it for 18 years, and I just feel so happy at all the grants that we have given. I mean, we've covered so many different villages and so many different sorts of grants, and loads for people with disabilities. And so I do think, it's been a panel that that has really worked hard and made some excellent decisions. And I just, I think we should be very pleased that we've been in a position where we've been able to do that and help people in the community to the extent that we have, because it's a very large extent. So yeah, and I agree with Carol. Democratic services have always been fabulous. We have been a brilliant district council, and it's a terrible waste that we've been whatever we've been done to, we've been done to it, and it is a sad day, but I think we've done good work, and thank you, Chairman.
Yeah. Richard, did you want to say something?
I was just going to say something, Chairman, if I may, if members would like me to, under the committee work programme, I'll make a general minute of thanks to all members and officers, past and present, if members would like me to, and if you would like me to, Mr. Chairman, before we close.
Yeah, absolutely.
No problem.
Yeah. So yeah, no, but I mean, it's how it all fits together. It's only if you've got a good financial control on the council that you can actually ensure that you've got that funding available to divert it to actually where it was needed.
Well, of course, our secret weapon was Martin Henry, so
yes,
we kept him.
We're very fortunate with him, and he's going forward, and I'm sure he'll do a brilliant job at the West Northants too. What a star!
I think the key to it all was managing the funds where they were needed, and that's contributed to the success of the council.
Yeah.
Because you can spend, put it in the wrong place. I think we got it in the right place.
I think it's called value for money.
Yeah.
We've certainly done that over the years.
Just one question: have we managed to get on top of the backlog on the COVID grants? Reduce the time?
I think what they are now doing is publishing a date on the website as to where they're up to. But I think an awful lot went out last week, and with the next lot, they're just asking for a confirmation that things are still the same. So actually, that is making a lot of difference. Because the businesses don't have to submit a whole pile of information, and B, it's easier to check, and just confirm and pay.
Because I feel we just got swamped at one point, but obviously we've come through it very well now.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the list of grants, that it grows day by day. There are grant pots that we have to match up that are for 4 days long when we move from tier 4 to national lockdown. And I think, Denise, you were saying that there's some more different ones for going into next year.
Yeah, I've just actually added them up, and we've sent 221 grants out last week. I can check the value of those in a minute, but it's quite substantial. Part of that, and also that's now to the period up to the 15th of February at the moment, but we've got more to come out for the 16th of February to the 31st. That's more so an extension of the first part of the year, because it's the same, nothing's changed basically. It's just a slightly longer period now that we have to extend to the 31st of March.
I think the key to it, Denise, is the sheer number that you've had to cope with on top of everything else.
We worked out we've had probably £29 million through in the whole year, with all the business rate reliefs that went through from last year as well. So it's quite substantial, and they change again for the 1st of April. And I know that goes into West, but it means all our remit changes again in April as well, because they're calling them startup grants, meant to be improved and slightly more simplified to make our lives easier, hopefully. But some of these ones that we're paying out at the moment won't have finished until probably into April, May time. There's a lot going on. That's all in addition to business as usual.
Denise, what happens with these particular grants that we actually have got from central government regarding COVID? What happens if we don't use all that money up with the grants? Do we have to give it back, or can we utilise it in another area?
No, we have to pay it back. That's part of the grant condition.
Ah, is it? Right.
Yeah. So we have to reconcile each grant that we've had through. There's quite a comprehensive reconciliation that goes behind the scenes, and we feed in weekly to all the government information. And that's where, when they start publishing information, that's where that information comes from. That's the source. So they will be publishing, I think, the end of February figures, the end of March figures, to just show the different authorities how they are paying those grants out against all the different variants.
As the chair was saying, that's a heck of a lot of additional work, in addition to doing your accounting at the moment, and also looking at the year-end figures and so on. So that's quite a demand on your resources.
Well, I think, Ken, it's even more than that, because we had problems with getting the audit through for the previous year as well.
Yes.
So if you add this year, last year, and COVID, and they've all stood up to this, I think a very special vote of thanks needs to go to Denise and the whole team for pulling us through on this, because this is, I think, some of the unsung heroes that have pulled us through. This is over and above anything else that we would have expected, with no increase in staff.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
And then, of course, at this time of year, not only have you got the same people who are sort of managing the grant system, who are putting out the bills. So I noticed mine landed on my mat this morning.
That came yesterday.
I need to have a word with the post office then, because they're not performing as well.
Would you start on the post office? That's alone, thanks very much. Worked for them for 40 years.
Are they still paying you, Alan?
Yeah, the pension, brilliant. That's what's keeping me going.
Alan, that was when it was nationalised. We can criticise now.
Well, then, I retired in 2001 after 40 years. I was 54 at the time, because you could get your pension at 50 in them days.
On YouTube.
Sorry?
Are we still on YouTube?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. We're still on the work programme.
Oh, right.
I think just one important one, if I may, is just when you say thanks, I think it's incredible thanks to the revenues team as well, because for the business grants, they have done an astounding job in conjunction with finance and fraud, and getting all those through, and just making sure we mitigate any risks at the same time.
No, I think they have done an absolutely brilliant job, and I think we've managed to have a system that balances the need to get the money out as soon as possible to help our businesses, but also to make sure that we're not paying out money to people who are not eligible. And I've certainly been worried that if, for example, we paid out to a business that had sort of gone under, we could suddenly find ourselves trying to get the money back and not being able to, because they wouldn't have the assets to cover it. And as Denise says, a lot of the money has to go back to government, and I'm sure they won't be terribly forgiving if we say, "Oh, terribly sorry, you paid that out to somebody in error." They'll ask us to cover it.
Denise, it's Ken here again. When do you anticipate having, I know it's to do with audit committee, but when do we anticipate having last year's account signed off?
We have a further meeting pending towards the end of the month, providing we can get the agenda and all the appendices through by then and confirmed, then that meeting may see that we see the account signed before the 31st. If that can't happen because of late information still, then we still have delegated authority that we may be able to use. So that's still not written off yet by the 31st of the month. It may still happen.
Are we still awaiting the sign off from NCC's accounts before we can close ours accounts?
The NCC Pensions Fund has been signed off now. That report has been concluded. What we're waiting for is some going concern questions that are happening at the moment. And that's more on a national level with the audit authority and also on a professional level. So those questions, it's what the question they raised the other night was that when they sign the accounts, and this is from the auditor, saying they then have to sign up to the next 12 months as well. And that's where the questions are, is around the next 12 months and the going concern question they are. And that encompasses the whole of the Northampton authorities, not just us.
Right.
I can just answer through the chair, if I may. I'm on audit and we're on standby in case we need a meeting before the 31st. Otherwise, as Denise says, it goes to delegated authority.
But I did see something coming through today that 50% of all councils haven't had their account signed off yet. So it's not just us. Alan.
Yeah, all I was going to say, I'll take it the meeting is over, isn't it?
Well, no, it's not.
We
No,
haven't closed the meeting yet,
not yet.
No.
because I was going to toggle off.
Oh yeah,
We've got through business.
Yes.
I mean, we seem to be going around, no disrespect, we're going around in circles with asking questions that we'd normally be asking in the meeting anyhow, but in the normal meeting. But as I say, I'm if we close the meeting, you want to have this discussion afterwards without me, I'm quite welcome to do so, because as I say, I'm quite.
okay. Well, I think we've done pretty much everything, so I think we should close the formal meeting now.